Hello everyone, welcome back. It's the first episode of Bikers Drive and I'm nervous, I'm anxious, excited, buzzing, a whole roller coaster of emotions. And for good reason. I'm combining two things that are close to my heart: biking and mental health. And it's that mental health part that's, it kind of held me back starting this project. Why, might you ask? Mental health is a super delicate subject, and if I'm starting this, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do it justice. That's why I kind of combined it with biking, because they do kind of go hand in hand. And I'm hoping this whole series sort of highlights that. So I chose biking and the mental health. They're things I can relate to. I can show you guys my sort of experience, what I've gone through. More importantly, we're going to have guests on the show, fellow bikers. And we'll have banter and chat and, talk about good times, bad times. And ask that key question, how does biking affect your mental health? What does it mean to you? And the whole point in this show really is to bring awareness to all of that, bring awareness to mental health. But what I mentioned earlier, that delicate, the delicate subject of mental health, there's a reason why I'm sort of cautious about it. And it's, it really did hold me back from starting this series. And I think this is the right moment to do the main big disclaimer. Because no doubt you're going to have the keyboard warriors ready. They're ready to pants. Who does he think he is? Oh, what does he know about mental health? And la 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 la. Forever. It's the world, and when you go public with things like this, you're going to get people's opinions. Hey, I'm more than happy to entertain them. And yes, they're correct. If that question rises, yes, they're correct. I'm not medically qualified. I'm no doctor. I'm no psychiatrist. I'm no specialist. But on this show, we're not purporting to deal with mental health issues. No. We're merely raising awareness. And we're talking about our own experiences. And, what biking means to us, or what other aspects of biking means to us. That's what we're doing. And there is one organisation I wanted to sort of bring awareness to, raise funds for, because they really are an amazing organisation. They're an amazing charity. They do some awesome work. And it's the Charity Mind. What I can do is merely guide you guys towards them, because they are the right people to offer help, to have a chat with, and to guide you. So at the end, I'll leave the Charity Mind's details. I'm also a fully registered fundraiser with them. You guys are more than welcome to check out with them. I've set up a JustGiving webpage for donations. I've already done my bit. I've sort of started it off. And I'm going to come on to, that is actually a part of the show as well. I will come on to that when I talk about the show. So, I really want to bring awareness and raise awareness of mental health, and I can only really do that with my own experiences. And biking is, it really does go in hand, and I'm hoping we sort of see that in the show. Okay, so let's talk about the show itself. I think the best starting point is probably the name, Bikers Drive. Bikers, driving. What is that about? Hear me out. I had this idea a while back, and it really started off where, look, us bikers during the winter months, we don't ride as much. One thing that puts me off is when the highways chuck a ton of salt and grime and God knows what else onto the roads to keep the frost away and whatever, and the ice. They do a fantastic job. I'm grateful for them. It's for our own safety. But I really don't want to be riding in that. And, I've got my heated gear, my heated gloves, my heated jackets. I don't mind the cold. If the opportunity arises, I will go and ride. But predominantly during the winter months, I don't ride as much. And I miss my biker mates. I miss them, I miss the chats, the banter, the riding. And I always wanted to do, and don't get me wrong, we still meet up. Those guys will know we meet up for our curry nights. And I had an idea. I thought, hey, look, what can we do to get these guys involved in a project? Let's do something. And that's where the driving part came in, really, because we're in a car, we can drive wherever we want, when we want. It doesn't matter what the weather's like. So that's where the driving part came in. And the bikers, obviously, I'm going to have the fellow guests I have. They're going to be bikers, so we can talk about biking and what it means and mental health. So the name came from there. But the car part, actually, there's more to it than that. I'm in an environment I can control. We can do the recordings quite easy. We're quite freely able to talk, say what we want, do as we wish. The microphones work really well. It's kind of sound insulated. I've got decent lighting. So it's a good little environment. Otherwise, I know the fellow bikers are probably going to say, hey man, why don't you jump on the bike, go for a ride, go to Rikers, have a cup of tea and coffee, have a chit chat. It's not about that. I could try and do the intercom thing through the helmets, but you try and do an interview with a guest like that, it's just not going to work out. But that's the whole point of this show. We're dealing with the mental health aspect of it. During the winter months, we don't ride as much, so that has an impact. And we're trying to get over that bit. Let's meet up together, and during those months, and we can do these recordings, have our chats, bring awareness. So that's where it came in from, really. But I know, guys. You could do this in a studio. Well, our production budget at the moment is £2.50, a packet of crisps, and a cup of coffee. So we don't have a fancy studio. But this is the best thing I can do. And besides riding, I love driving as well. And we've got some beautiful country lanes and the rest of it. So, hey, why not? So, with the show, I will pick up one of my guests. We'll drive around, we'll have our chat. Key questions I'll ask are, hey, where did biking start off for you? Those first memories of, riding. Tell us your stories of where it started off. Then, we'll move on to what does biking mean for you? What parts do you enjoy? What parts don't you enjoy? And I think the ultimate question towards the end will be, how does biking affect your mental health? And I'm hoping, people can relate to it from our stories. If it brings awareness, that would be great. And again, like I said earlier, if we're highlighting issues or you have concerns yourself, seek help, have a chat with the awesome charity Mind. And we're also trying to raise funds for them as well. They're an amazing organisation, and every penny counts. So I'm forever grateful if you guys can donate to them as well. I'll leave the details below. So once we've had our chat with our guest, all on me, they're my guest, I will treat them to a coffee, a tea, and I think caffeine you guys have always heard, I'm always talking about coffee. So we'll try and find out some new coffee places. That helps my mental health. I don't think I could do without coffee. So, I'll treat them to a tea, coffee, cake, as they wish. We'll come back to the car. We'll kind of finish off the story. But I've made one promise with this show. And again, all from my own pocket. I will donate a minimum £10 to Mind. And I've already done that. For this first episode, I've already done it. I will donate minimum £10 from my own pocket. And I'm hoping, you guys can, if you can. I know it's financially difficult being a biker, let alone making donations. But, I know cost of living and everything else. But they really are an amazing charity. And if you guys can, I'll be forever grateful. But also, I'd love to have the opportunity to get other biker groups involved, especially the biker mental health groups. I know there's quite a few out there. I've chosen mind for the time being, because I can sort of relate to them, and in the past they have actually helped me out, and this is my way of giving back to them, I guess. I'll come on to that. I will come on to that. But it'll be great, you know. Let's see how all of this works out. It's not just going to be mine. Hopefully I can work with other groups. So, you know, I really do want to bring awareness, raise as much as we can, and let's see where this goes. So that's the whole, you know, the whole sort of premise of the show itself. And I think the next stage is, let's start it off. This is like the pilot episode, and I think it's only right I talk about me. I have to make one admission right now. This is my second day of doing this, because it was kind of difficult. It was. I'll come on to it. I think I'm more ready to deal with it today than the other day. You know, I did a whole video, and I just put it aside, because it was, I got to admit, it was tough saying some of the stuff. Yeah, it was tough. But let's get to it. Let's get to it. So, biking, where did it start for me? Those of you who've known me from a very long time ago, when the dinosaurs roamed planet Earth, those guys who know me from a long time ago, they will know I wasn't really a biker. No, I wasn't into biking at all. Don't get me wrong, I love the sound of a V-twin, you know, like the sound of a Harley-Davidson. Who doesn't? I love the sound of a VA and all of that. You know, I'd see a Ducati go past, and I'd be like, wow, that's a sexy bike. I like that. That looks really cool. But I wasn't, I didn't want to get on a bike. It didn't appeal to me. I've always been a car kind of guy. You know, give me the Porsches. We were tuning cars and doing stuff to cars back in the late 90s, the max power era. Yeah, those guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've always been a car kind of guy, you know, Lamborghinis and Porsches and whatever. But one particular thing happened in life, and that particular event changed how I looked at life. Early 2016, we lost a loved one, and she was someone very close to me. Yeah. And she was here one moment, and she was gone the next. I'd say she was still young, you know, she was young. But, you know, you're that loved one, and she was the closest person to me who I'd lost at that moment, you know. So it was a new experience, I'd say. And it really, you can never get over grieving. I think, you know, it's still there. But about a year after, I started to question myself, you know, and the question was, you've been on this planet for so many years. What have you achieved? What have we done? You know, we're here one moment, and like that, you're gone the next. But if I'm at the gates of heaven, or I'm at the gates of hell, and I'm asked that question, what have you done with yourself? What have you achieved? At that particular moment, 2017, I think the only thing I could probably honestly say is I've tried to be a decent human being. I've tried to be loyal to my family. And, you know, but that's sort of hand in hand with life anyway. Everyone, you know, we all try to be decent human beings. Yeah, I mean, academically, I got 2 degrees to my name, which was, yeah. But my achievements, what have I done? Like, I genuinely, there wasn't something I could say, hey man, I worked really hard, I did this, and, you know, I've never been a sports kind of guy, I've never got a gold medal. There was nothing like that, and that made me really realise, if you are sort of gone that moment, and we look back, there's nothing really there, besides being a decent human being. So things snapped in me, and one of the first adventurous things I did was I've got a tattoo. Yeah. And my first tattoo was with Dan Gold. If you're watching, bro, like he made it a pleasure that day, digging with a needle. But I actually enjoyed it. And look at me now. You guys can see I'm like a colouring book. But that was one thing I wanted to do. That was in the back of my head. Never really had the courage to do it, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. And the thing with tattooing is, the more once you do a couple, that's it. You become addicted. Next, I really wanted to help out my community. I'm going to come on to the biking, guys. I promise. I'm trying to build up to it. Next, I wanted to help the community out. I wanted to give back to my community. And that's where I started helping out my school. And God, all of this, the whole school thing, that's a whole episode on its own. I don't want to give too much away of what I've done for the school, but, it's sort of, the little bits of it are, we saved the school, the staff and I, we fought really hard, and the other parents and community, we stopped the school from being taken over and closed down. We're still fighting for the school struggle. As a result of that, the NEU invited me to their conference in Liverpool for me to do a speech. And that, do you know what? That on its own, that's one of my proudest moments. That was a good day. We fought for the school. Very proud of it. And I'm still involved with the school now, still sort of fighting for things. So, that was one tick for me. And that, as long as there's blood flow, and I've always said this, as long as there's blood flowing through my veins, I will always fight for that school. I think the next task was, I want to be qualified in something, or get a license for something. Right, getting an aeroplane license or anything like that, helicopter, way too much money. We don't have the finances to do that, nor the time to do it. Like a captain's license, whatever. All of that. That's still a dream to be a pilot, but now no. I considered, this is the funny one, I considered doing a JCB sort of excavator kind of license. I know the guys in the industry, but they put me off. They're like, no, you carry on doing what you're doing with architecture and all of that. Leave that to us. Okay, all right. Now, when I said I wasn't really into biking, the Harley-Davidson sound and all of that was still in the back. It's still there. One of my earliest memories of a Harley-Davidson was, I'm stuck in a traffic jam with my dad. This is like the early 90s. The windows down, I'm sitting at the back. He's in his old Ford Granada and he's taking me out for the weekend. And we're stuck in traffic. And I remember this Harley-Davidson just filtering through. It came right past us. And the sound, that captivated me. And I think, ever since then, it's been there. I say I wasn't a biker, but, there was something there. So my next challenge was, okay, all right, so no aeroplane, no helicopter, no sailing boat, whatever, license or anything like that, no JCB. Let's do motorcycle. Why not? I just wanted to get the motorcycle thing out of the way and say, hey, look, man, I've got a motorcycle license. I know, it's, yeah. So I get all my gear, I book my CBT, and honestly, I started the course. My life flashed before my eyes twice. Nothing to do with the instructors or the course itself. They were fantastic, awesome bunch of dudes. Me, I've never ridden, I can ride a bicycle, but I've never ridden a motorbike. This is 2018, by the way. Zero experience of it, and I remember saying to the instructors, they gave me an option, do you want to do the auto sort of jump on a scooter just to pass your CBT, or are you interested in doing, the manual CBT stuff? And, do you want to go the whole way up to, mod 1, mod 2? And I'm like, yeah. CBT, by the way, guys, who's anyone's watching outside the UK, CBT is like the basic course we do here to get anywhere near a motorcycle or anything with two wheels. So, yep, I do the course, got the manoeuvring and getting the clutch and all of that right. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, that was an experience on its own. You know what? I would have been happy. If I got the CBT, I think I would have been happy. But something clicked. Something clicked. And it was on, and this is the last part of the CBT. You're out on the road. You kind of got used to things. You're still a bit wobbly. And as there's not much left of the lesson itself. I'm riding along and I'm like, wow, whoa, hold on a minute. Hey, I like this, man. This is cool. Something clicked in me. And that's where all motorcycle things started. That one moment. And that was it. I did the CBT. God, I was buzzing. I came home. I think that I booked. What I wanted to do was iron out some of my issues that I had. And I booked a one-on-one with my instructors. Pep's awesome dude. Honestly, he's a good instructor. He's a very, very good instructor. I did a one-on-one with him before starting anywhere near the Mod 1 stuff. And he put all the wrong things I was doing in a correct way. So I was ready to start the Mod 1. And just doing that one-on-one with him, man, that was even more. I just wanted to get on a bike there and then. Done the Mod 1, done the Mod 2, and I'm literally walking around the house like, I want a bike. Now it was coming up to sort of, when I say the end of the riding season, it was coming up to sort of September, October, and I debated whether to buy the bike there and then, but I know if I bought that bike end the season, winter would have come along and it would just be sitting in the garage and I wouldn't get a chance to ride it much. And because it's going to be sketchy weather, I'm a new rider, I didn't want to take the risk. So we waited out the weather. And I kind of went in at the deep end. I didn't start off on a smaller bike. I wanted the Harley-Davidson. I jumped on a Fat Bob, Softail, 2019 model straight away. Zero experience of riding any other bikes. That decision, never looked back. Best decision I ever made. That whole world of jumping on a Harley-Davidson. I say Harley-Davidson, I'm using the brand, it's not just a motorcycle, because I've done so much with just my chapter alone. And this is the thing, so let's put the brand aside, just motorcycling on its own and what it's done for me, the people I've met, the places I've gone, the journeys I've done on the bike. And I'm adding the Harley-Davidson bit to it because we've got the Harley Owners Group chapter. And those guys on there, they're watching you. Most of my guests will be, the hog guys. They're like family to me now. Some of my dearest and closest friends. And just doing that one thing has, I am one of the best decisions I've ever made. Hand on my heart, I'm quite happy to say that. Yeah, I mean, I know, look. Some of you will say, hey, that one key moment in your life, you're making all these decisions, whatever. Oh, it's a midlife crisis. Is it? Do we need to label it? No, I mean, I looked back at myself and I didn't feel like I was doing much and I wanted to do something for myself. Is that a midlife crisis? Question mark. Let me know, guys. Just leave a comment. But I never done anything. Is it a crisis? It's a I don't know, it's an interesting question. I did it because I wanted to do things and achieve things and, yes, I know I can jump in a car and go to the Alps and do the same route I would have done on a bike. Being on a bike is way different. It's way different. When we're riding through fields like this, you smell things that the car just filters out. You can hear things, the sound of that engine right next to you and the exhaust. You can hear all that, be part of it. When we're heading up, let's say, I said the Alps, when you're heading up mountain ranges, the Alps, let's say, you feel that change in elevation and temperature. you're kind of at one with the road and nature. That's what I love. For those brief moments, and it's going to come on to the second part, why do we ride? Riding has so many benefits. This is my view anyway. It has so many benefits. Just sitting on that bike and going for a ride, your mind resets. When I come off a bike, sometimes I feel tired, but my mind feels refreshed. Your whole stress level just drops. You're concentrating on riding only. So whatever worries and stress you had before, it gets kind of blanked out and pushed to the side. And you're enjoying that road, you're enjoying that scenery. I could be on an intercom with a friend of mine as we're riding and we're having a chat and banter and we're laughing. That's what affects my mental health and boosts it. There's also like the biological and scientific stuff, endomorphins and all the stress relieving chemicals that your brain sort of pumps in. But it really is, when you jump on a bike, you really do connect. The bikers out there watching this, you guys will know. Some of the non-bikers, there's that inherent, biking's dangerous. Why are you riding? You could die. Unfortunately, there's so much more in the world that can, bump you off, as it were. It's not just motorcycling. There's so much more. And the thing is, with motorcycling, I'm not teaching anyone how to ride. No, it's not my place. I've never done that as a biker. It's not my place. But with biking, it's a bit more, how you ride, and if you're wearing your gears and things like that, and you concentrate, you ride in a decent fashion, you minimise risk, you're okay to some degree. You're all right. That doesn't stop others coming and smashing into you. But, I don't want to sound a bit philosophical and spiritual and all of that, but then it sort of comes to the point where you're like, well, why am I on this planet? Why am I not doing things that are going to give me a buzz? Why do I need to just stop doing things because I could potentially pass away from or be injured permanently or whatever? You're calculating risk to some degree. But from my experience, from my view, jumping on a bike, one of the best things I've ever done. It's helped, putting aside the friends I've made, the places I've gone and all of that, it really has had an impact on my mental health for the good. That's why I kind of felt, okay, this is why I wanted to do the show. I've got something positive out of it. Will my guests, when they tell me their stories, have they got something positive out of it? We might hear the negative part of it. We shouldn't hide away from that. Let's talk about it. So that's where the whole motorbiking thing started for me. And there's so much more to do. There's a part that worries me as well. And I've sort of kind of, it's something I started doing recently. And that is, one of my other hobbies is photography. I love taking pictures. I'm not the best at it. I don't even classify myself as an amateur. I'm just some bloke taking pictures. Check out my Instagram. Let me know what you guys think. And that's only a small fraction of what I take. But I love taking pictures because for that moment, and my sort of my kind of photography style is I want to capture it at the moment. It's kind of like reportage, I want to capture that moment. If someone's smiling or doing a particular face or there's an expression they have, I want to capture that moment. And the guys who know when I take their pictures, I always say to them, I'm not here. And I'll try and take a picture with their natural expression. Because when you tell someone, oh, can you pose for me? Everyone stiffens up and it's kind of awkward and, so I like to get them in that mode. But I like taking pictures because in the evening when I go back and I'm going through, I'm editing and doing a bit of colour work, there's a moment there, I might have made someone laugh just before I snap that picture. It might have been a really memorable moment and I've captured it and it will come back to me. Again, that's a bit like, it affects your mental health in a way. You know, you're thinking about a special moment you had and that picture's there permanently, it's there. So I'm doing that on the side. And then all the YouTube bits and pieces, that's also, do you know what, I've stumbled on it in a way. I really didn't want to do the YouTube stuff, but I had tons of footage from the touring I did to Senegalia, and I thought, look, you know what, there's all of this footage I've taken. I really didn't want to actually release it. It was more sort of sharing it with the family. But what I found out was, you know, as you're doing more of the videos and the editing, hey, this is kind of cool. I like this. A bit like the motorcycling thing. But going back to one of my worries about motorcycling is naturally there's that worry in the back of my head. When's the last day? When's the last day we ride? You know, is it from old age? Major accident? I've sketchy joints. I've got awful joints. You know, that day will come. The last ride. And where I'm always saying my motorcycle riding is my antidepressant, how on earth am I going to deal with that last day? That's in the back of my head. You know, that's there. But I think that's why I'm really glad. You know, the photography I've done for years, I can always take a picture, even in my old age. And the YouTube stuff, hey, if I'm not riding the YouTube channel, I'd love to carry on. I don't know, maybe food and whatever, and we'll work something out. I love the editing, all of that. I really do. I enjoy that. So that's one of my worries, you know, the last day of riding. And it'd be interesting to hear from my guests, you know. Have they got the same worry? Have they prepared for that last day? You know, let's see. There is one part of my past I wanted to mention, because I think it's only right I do that. The whole point of the show is to bring awareness. It was in my teenage years, and it was a really dark period for me. You know, our family was pretty much broken up. We were sort of moving from one house to another. You know, my circle of friends was very small. I didn't really have anyone to talk to. Yeah, I had an amazingly loving family. But as I said, you know, we were all sort of apart. It was a dark period. It really was. And I'm just thinking about it now and talking about it. It's super hard to get it out, especially to a camera, you know, especially to potentially hundreds and thousands of viewers. It was a dark period. And what I want to say is, there is a better tomorrow. There is. Yeah, some of you will say, oh, it's easy for him to say that. And no, it's not easy for me to say. I can only relate to what I went through, you know, and I'm hoping it brings awareness to it. But, you know, I'm glad I pushed through that period, and I didn't give up. I'm okay now, you know, guys. I'm okay. Where my mind was back then, where my mind is now, the person I am, galaxies apart. I'm more mature. I'm more experienced with life. One thing I've learned is to tackle things head on now. Back then, I was a clueless teenager. But as much as I was clueless and, you know, I wasn't experienced in life, I didn't want to give up because I had a loving family. You know, I didn't want to let them down. And this is one of the reasons why I relied on the charity mind at one point in my life. and this is sort of my way of giving back to them, if you know, if I can, you know, if I've brought awareness and I've guided someone to them, that's amazing. You know, even if I've raised a small amount of funds for their cause, that's amazing. But you know, I'd like my guests to know, look, we don't have to go we're not going that deep into our past and emotions. No, this is, you know, it's kind of, I don't want, it's not like setting the benchmark, as it were. No. I'm doing this in a kind of way, for me, what I think it's kind of therapeutic to let that out and sort of tackle it, you know, and bring awareness. But again, as I said, guys, look, you know, if you are going through a difficult period like that, I think speaking to someone is the best way. But I can only sort of guide you towards the Charity Mind, and I've got an amazing bunch of people there who will chat to you and advise you and guide you. Yeah, that's tough to do, and I think that's why the first run of this, it was too much. I basically stopped driving and pulled aside. But things are different now. I really am. There's so much more I want to do on this earth and with this life. There's so much more. I've got the buzz and drive for it. And again, it goes back to that particular moment in 2016. You know, I've sort of I feel more comfortable stepping outside my comfort zone and doing things. Even with this whole show, even with this whole channel, I rather give it a go. I'm that sort of guy. I rather give it a go, fail. You know, I want to fail, but when I fail, I know what I'm doing wrong. So when I come back at it the next time round, you know, we're doing a better job at it. So that's why I wanted to give this a go. You know, it'd be good to hear what people say. The people I've spoke to before doing the show, just running the idea past them, everyone has loved it. Everyone has supported it, and you guys know who you are. I'm grateful. Even when I rang up Mind, the charity, and I was having a chat with some of the staff there, because I was trying to work out how to be a fundraiser and what I can do and not do, kind of thing. Even the staff members, they were sort of like, "Wow, hey, that's a good idea." You know, like even the emails, they were saying, "Please send us a link to the videos. We really want to watch it." That was amazing support, and that's the thing that really pushed me to, okay, let's do this then. If those guys are saying, "Hey, it's a good idea," but let's see how we go with this. It's, you know, I want to try it. We'll see where it leads. It'd be good. Look, at the end of the day, it's more, you know, we're going to have banter and chat. We'll have good coffee. Talking about coffee, after doing all of this, I need a good coffee. So yeah, I'm going to head out and grab a coffee, and I'll do the same with my guests. Yeah, coffee time. I've just quickly pulled over. I've grabbed myself a coffee and a slice of cake. I know I shouldn't be. I'm supposed to be on a diet, but yeah, I need it after this. I'm just at the BakeHouse in Chelmsford. It's not in Chelmsford, it's slightly out. I'm going to leave all the details below. Their coffee, pastry, and do you know what? This place is amazing. I came here the other day when I did the initial shoot. Awesome little place. Like, their coffee is really good, and I was just trying to work out. I asked the team there where they get their beans and stuff from. It's another good place because there's bikers. Look, guys, I tell you something. The day I'm recording this is the next day from Storm Amy. Like, it's windy as anything. And there's biker dudes out and about, like, U Sports Bike, because it's, what they got? One of them's a Fireblade. I think the other one's looks like an S1000. Like, you guys are awesome. If you're riding in this weather, be careful. Be careful. But yeah, we're kind of at the end of the show. It's been a tough one. Yeah, I got to admit, it's tough letting some of the stuff out, but it's never going to be easy, is it? And I think talking, getting it out, it's the right move. From my view, I think it's the right move. Yeah. And I'm hoping when I have my guests, you know, at the end of the day, we'll have our coffee and whatever, we'll wrap it up. But the key question, you know, it's there, and that's the whole point of the show. Biking, mental health. How does it affect you? How does riding affect your mental health? It's an amazing feeling. Do you know what would be really cool? A non-biker watching this, getting inspired, getting their license, jumping on the bike, and then messaging back saying, hey man, thanks. I get what you guys are talking about. Because I didn't have a clue, honestly. Before 2018, zero clue on motorbiking. I didn't even know how a motorcycle worked. That's how bad it was. I mean, I know you twisted for acceleration. That's it. But like I said at the start, never look back. Just the friends I've met, places, and oh man, yeah. So if you were to ask me, how does it affect my mental health? It's my antidepressant, that's for sure. Just the friends I've made, that alone, I think, just from biking. We've got a really strong community, I think, as bikers. Yeah, I know, right, yeah. You know, the Harley guys will get stick. Sports bike guys, Power Ranger dudes, they'll get stick. You know, the odd guy riding his 125, feeling intimidated and whatever, he'll get stick. But do you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you ride, man. We're one big, massive family and community, and I know we sort of look after each other. You know I'm on a Harley-Davidson. If I'm broken down and I wave down a guy on a Triumph, whatever sports bike, I know, you know what, he'll stop. That's special, I think, amongst us bikers. That really is special. We should never lose that. Yeah. But no, I'm never look back. Love every moment of it. Right, I want to start tucking into my coffee. Their coffee's really good. I highly recommend it. Their teas should be good as well, I guess. But their pastries and stuff, I could have gone crazy in there and ate the whole bakery bit alone. But no, I'll only put on weight and that'll make my motorcycle slower. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've entertained. And as always, if you do need help, you want to chat to someone, the amazing charity, amazing organisation, Mind, are there for you. I'm going to leave their details below. If you can spare a couple of pence and donate, that would be amazing. I'm going to leave my JustGiving page details below as well. And hey, do you know what? If you're thinking of being part of the show, let me know. Leave a comment below. I've got a handful of guys already lined up. But if you've got a story to tell and you want to add to the show, even if you can't join the show, leave a comment below. And I would be super, super happy and grateful if you guys can subscribe. If we get into the monetization things, I'd love to give a portion of what we're earning from here directly to the charities out there so they can do their magic and do their work. Guys, thank you so much. Until next time. Well, next one is we're going to have a guest. Yeah, will be a good one. I've got my first guest. He's lined up. Yeah, that should be a good one as well. Guys, thank you so much. I'm grateful. It's been a tough one. It's not been easy, I've got to admit it. Thank you.